and welcome to the big fight. Well, election season is over and we are now on with the process of the new government running the country. One of the questions, though, that came up during the election campaign and which may well return, as it has returned again and again for the last 30 to 40 years, is the entire question of illegal migration and illegal immigration, specifically and especially perhaps from Bangladesh in the eastern parts of the country into West Bengal and into the northeast. It's been a political hotcake for a long time. And then we have heard very strong references made to this during the election campaign itself, not least by Narendra Modi himself, the Prime Minister. Let's just hear what Mr. Modi had to say on the subject during the election campaign. All right, so that's what he said during the election campaign. Now, what is going to actually be done on the entire question of illegal immigration? We have a great panel here to take us through all aspects of this. Let me start off by welcoming Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, leader of the BJP, somebody who studied this in a variety of different areas. Amarjeet Singh is with us, associate professor at Jamia, has a slightly different take on this. Samujal Bhattacharya is advisor of the All Assam Students Union, a body that actually came up in connection with the entire problem of illegal immigration. That is one of the major issues, well, long time back, but obviously various aspects of that still continue. Kishrale Bhattacharya, senior journalist, has represented NDTV in that region now for a long time, here because of his depth of knowledge around this issue. We also have with us Dr. Tasleem Ahmed Rahmani, who's the president of the Muslim Political Council of India. Dr. Rahmani, thanks for being with us. And Ranjit Kumar Datta, who's the secretary of the Barsat Union Prastuti, who actually came across from Bangladesh many years ago, and now, of course, based out of Kolkata. And here in the audience, in addition to the usual audience that we have a number of students also here from Bangladesh. It will be great to get their viewpoints as well on all of these questions, illegal immigration, opportunities in Bangladesh, and what have you. Why don't I start off with you, Dr. Swamy? Obviously, the question and the issues around illegal immigration are nothing new. They've been around for a long time. One of the reasons we're discussing it specifically right now is because one of the things that the Prime Minister did say during the election campaign, that they will be sent back. Can that happen? What would be the repercussions of that? Point number one, what do you do with illegal immigrants who are already here? Number two, what are you going to do to stop fresh immigration? And number three, how can we ensure that there's no acts of violence? Again, during the election campaign, there was a horrific act of violence. Yeah. How can we make sure that doesn't happen again?
Well, say acts of violence are due to failure of the administration. I don't believe that anywhere where acts of violence of this kind take place and they are in a protracted way, as it was in the Northeast, is really a failure of the administration. So I don't think that's an issue at all. What is at issue is that if any person from any country facing religious or political persecution wants to come to India, we have always opened the doors. For example, in the case of Sri Lanka, we have housed so many, have refugee camps in near Rameshwaram for years and years. And in the case when the Bangladesh was going to be created, there must have been 1 crore people who came across, and we looked after them, and then they all went back. The real question is, if a group of people come across because they are in search of better jobs, that is the issue which creates the problem.
So you're saying it's okay if people are coming across because they are persecuted, and I want to dwell on that issue to some extent, because as long as you're saying anybody being persecuted can come across, it's one thing. The BJP manifesto is still unclear as to what exactly the stance is. That seemed to refer only to Hindus who are persecuted, not to others. So that's a slightly separate issue which I want to dwell on.
No, look at the context. The context is Bangladesh. There's no question of large sections of the Muslim population being persecuted in Bagadesh. These sections which are persecuted,
specific tribes being persecuted, that's happened in certain areas.
Well, again I'm saying that the kind of infiltration has taken place, it's largely that. No, Shias, for example, want to come from Pakistan, I think they would be, our doors will be open to them.
Okay, so anybody being persecuted. All right.
Anybody persecuted. But in the case of why Hindus were mentioned is that Hindus are persecuted in Bangladesh. They were 32% of the population in 1950. Today they are only 7%. Where has that percentage disappeared? Because they have been persecuted.
Right. I'm going to come back to the question of Hindus coming across in just a couple of times. We have Ranjit Kumar Datta there also, who did come across. He was a Hindu, came across from Bangladesh. And other things have happened. 1971, there was genocide against the Hindu community in Bangladesh. So there are issues around that. I'll come back to that a little later in the program. I just want to continue to dwell on overall the problems of illegal immigration. Let me get you in, Amarjeet, on this question. What is your take on this? One, preventing, what should be the take on subsequent immigration, and what can you do with the migrants who are already here?
You see, what I believe, what I see and what I believe is that in India, the term illegal migration has been loosely used. But there are also people who question, when we talk about illegal migrations, because the illegal, whether it's illegal or legal, that has to be proved by the court of law. The police, as for example, the police in Assam cannot prove a person whether he is illegal or legal. Only the court has the power to prove.
But legal migration, let me just take you up on that. Unless there are some paper, some certificate, the person came, applied for Indian citizenship, that should be easy to determine. So whether most of the people who are there are, if they have migrated, unless there's some paper trail to show that they were legally migrated, they have some record of that, most of them will be illegal migrants, wouldn't they?
You see, the problem in this, in this part of the country is that, as for example, in Assam, it is very, very difficult to distinguish between who is a citizen and who is not, who is non-citizen. So as a result of that, it is very, very difficult. At the same time, many of the so-called suspected illegal migrants, once they come to, say, Assam, many of them have their own, valid or whatever you call it, documents to prove their, claim for the citizenship. That's
a slightly separate issue and a valid issue which I'm going to turn to you on, which is that one of the problems comes when you're trying to deal with, okay, who's an illegal migrant and who's not an illegal migrant. Practically on the ground, obviously you can't judge this on the basis of religion or any other thing alone, because in terms of religion, there are plenty of Indian Muslims, Assamese Muslims, Bengali speaking Muslims who are Indian citizens, Indian nationals, born and brought up there. And so you can't use religion, as some people have occasionally tried to do, to judge whether somebody is illegal or not. How do you judge that somebody is an illegal migrant and somebody is actually an Indian citizen? Is it easy to do on the ground?
Yes, before coming to your point, actually in Assam there was a 6-long peaceful movement for solution of this problem, because there is a threat to the identity of the indigenous people residing in Assam and to the threat to the bona fide Indian citizen residing in Assam. For that 6-year Assam movement was there, Assam Accord was signed. After that, we are waiting to get result out of Assam Accord. That means in last 35 years, the people of Assam is shouting. Now the Narendra Modi, he had said very openly that all Bangladeshis, they must go to their own country. So there is a hope that at least since independence, a political leader, he has said very clearly and repeatedly that all illegal Bangladeshis, they must go. It's a hope. But in case of Assam, the Assam Accord is there. So for whole of the country, the date of detection of illegal foreigner is 1950, 26 January. So it was a memorandum of understanding, it is Assam Accord. And for whole of the country, we have accepted the burden of all illegal foreigners who have entered up to 71. He may be Hindu, he may be Muslim. But after 71, he may be Hindu, he may be Muslim, they must go out of Assam. It's a very clear commitment in the Assam Accord. So now the government of India should implement this Assam Accord within a specific time frame. Now the Narendra Modi had given a commitment, so he should implement his commitment. And I would like to mention two things. See, we should talk on facts. What the Supreme Court of India had said. In 2005, when the Supreme Court had struck down the IMDT Act, which is protecting the interests of the illegal Bangladeshis, the Supreme Court had said, due to large-scale influx of illegal Bangladesh, there is an external aggression, internal disturbance in the state of Assam. External disturbance, that word is very clear.
One of the people
add one more
behind
point.
that striking now actually is a minister in the Narendra Modi government. Mr. Sonowal is now a minister in the Narendra Modi government.
Exactly.
Let me just get Dr. Tasleem Ahmed Rahmani now into this, President of the Muslim Political Council of India. What we are hearing being stated very clearly here by the ASU is that this should not be looked at in any way with religious overtones, although that's quite often the way it is painted and portrayed and on the ground depicted, especially when it comes to places like Assam. He says, don't look at it from a religious prism. It should be looked at purely whether the person's an Indian citizen or not an Indian citizen. And if he's not an Indian citizen or an Indian national, then therefore that person should be deported.
Principally, this is true and this is acceptable that whosoever has come over here illegally must be deported back. There is no other thought about it. But as Mr. Subramaniam Swamiji has said, that 1 crore people has crossed over the border. Most of those people are living most parts of the West Bengal and some in the Assam areas. He says that for the sake of jobs they are coming. I don't think why if they are coming for the sake of job, they should go to Tripura, they should go to the West Bengal. Why they are penetrating into the Assam, which has very small boundaries attached to the Bangladesh. Whole Tripura, Meghalaya and West Bengal is attached with Bangladesh, much wider borders. Why don't they go over there where they can find much more easy jobs? Assam, there are no jobs, there are no financial security inside Assam. That too, those areas where these illegal migrants has been reported much, like the Dhubri, like Gwalpara, most of the illegal
Dr.
migrants
Rahmani, is it your view that they are therefore
And
not illegal
two,
migrants and they are actually the indigenous citizens of Assam? Is that the point you're trying to make? That
they are indigenous because they are speaking, they have been taken over there far back in 1826 by the British rulers to cultivate the land over there. That was basically a tribal living area, tribal inhabiting area. There was no cultivation. From Assam to Burma, those days a large number of Bengali people were
but I don't think there is any question about those people, or is it?
And they have the paper.
The class of people, Dr. Swami.
Vikram, the criteria is very strange. After the 2005 case, IMDT, after the scrap of IMDT, the government of India did not take any serious step to determine in the migration. 6 lakhs cases has been examined and only 22,000 has been deported by the year 2004. And after this Assam Accord, everybody in Assam, every party in Assam, except the Assam Rajiv Gandhi Accord. But what step has been taken? Okay. Even 2005-6, then 2006 again the court has given.
Dr. Rahmani, I'm trying to understand where there are causes, where there's disagreement and where there's agreement. First of all, Dr. Swami, and I'm going to ask both of you, the sort of people whom he's talking about, taken there 100 years ago, Indian citizens, been living out there, there's no issue about them?
Well, no, anyone from within India taken anywhere, there's no issue. Internal migration is perfectly allowed. You see, I would like to rebut what he has said. Bangladeshis are available in Delhi, they are available in Bombay, you can get them in Chennai. They are all over wherever they get jobs. The first place obviously to come is Assam, because there they have local contacts, etc., and therefore they settle down. Then they move out. It's not that at all that they are only in Assam. Secondly, I want to make a theoretical point which is not there in our manifesto, is not there in any of our speeches, but I think this historical fact has to be brought in. Partition was created on the principle, according to the debate in the House of Commons, and when they were debating the Indian Independence Act. There was no Pakistan, so they had to create a Pakistan. So they passed an act creating Pakistan, and there in the speech the Prime Minister said that because there are a large number of Muslims who don't want to live with Hindus, we can't abandon them, and therefore we have to carve out property territory from India to make them live. Now, if these are the very Muslims for whom we created partition, then why should they come here?
No, hang on. Now you are taking a rather different
Now,
and
Vikram,
you're
now
not questioning the
this is
entire
turning to the
ethos of
Hindu
India
and Muslim question.
because
Yes,
if
partition
taking
was
your
on this
argument
basis.
forward, then then all Muslims in India should move to Pakistan.
I didn't say that. I said the British Parliament, it was held that those Muslims who didn't want to live with Hindus,
yeah, but
for them there should be a separate
His
territory.
point is, if they are Muslims in Assam who've always lived in Muslim,
Now,
then
that-
are Indian
that is a-
citizens,
now,
there's no
that-
problem
now
with
that's
them.
a debatable
I'm just making
point.
that very clear.
No, that of course, that I said, any Indian of any religion is entitled to complete freedom in internal migration.
Good, and we've settled that. You agree with him on that issue?
No. Actually, I must
No,
reflect
yes.
the-
Are you agreeing with what he said?
No. Bangladeshi is a Bangladeshi. He may be Hindu, he may be Muslim.
Yes,
I mean,
but
as
we are
per
talking-
Assam
he's an
Accord.
Indian. Hang on.
Yeah.
That's one point.
Yeah.
If he's an Indian, therefore, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Christian, Parsi, if he's an Indian citizen, you have no problem with that person in Assam.
Exactly, as per Assam Accord, we have accepted the burden up to 71. You should appreciate
No,
us
but after
because we have taken the burden.
After
but
71
after 71, nobody can stay. He may be Hindu, he may be Muslim.
No.
We cannot-
Bangladeshi or Indian? That's what I'm asking.
No,
Suppose he's an
Bangladesh.
Indian-
We are talking about illegal Bangladeshis.
Okay,
We
fine.
have
So
taken
your
the
issue
burden
also-
of illegal
your-
Bangladeshis
your
who
issue-
have entered up to 71.
Okay, your
But
issue,
who have-
so your
but
issue
those
is
has-
specifically with Bangladeshis, not with Indians. Now,
Exactly.
Kishale,
Exactly.
before I come to Ranjit,
then,
at the end of the
hello?
day, though, the positions, as they are stated, do get muddied on the ground because it's difficult to tell them. They're both saying that if it's an Indian Muslim, there's absolutely no problem. The issue, somebody coming in from abroad, Muslim, Hindu, on the ground, is it that easy to tell?
See, there are two kind of ground realities. One is that, illegal immigration or immigration as such from the worldwide, if you see, is a result of the function of market forces and kinship network. And, a lot of states, there's been an emerging migration state. That's what's across the world. We've seen the emerging migration state. There are 175 million people across the world who are actually living in different countries, which may be just 2.5% of the world population, but there's a rising trend of of immigration across the world. That is one reality that we have to deal with. And also, this is a border which has been created only recently. So there are people across the border who know each other. So the kinship network is there. The other ground reality is that when there is no legal migration across the world, what migrants do is that they get hold of what is called the smuggling migrant network, and which operate through various other dynamics out here. Particularly in the Indo-Bangladesh border, we have a cattle smuggling network, which is a $500 million business. Bangladesh earns $200 to $300 million from that.
Given the realities on the ground, practically, how do you solve it anyway? Has the fence made a difference, by the way?
Fence has made a lot of difference, but still, because the cattle smuggling goes on, and it may sound a little bizarre how cattle smuggling and migration go hand to hand together, but cattle smuggling, fake currency, gun running, and illegal migration actually are pretty much.
Before I come to Mr. Datta and come back to Dr. Ramani, just want to ask all of you the question.
Yeah.
In a sense, has a bulk of the problem now been sorted out? Because if you see the last census, the concern about massive migration did go down a little bit because the population numbers were looking a bit more in balance than they were earlier. With the fence, has situation improved
as
or
far
not?
as census is
No,
concerned.
I'm just citing three examples.
But one thing after that, Mr. Datta, I'm just
First,
coming to you.
regarding that Supreme Court judgment, it's an external aggression due to large-scale influx of illegal Bangladeshis. Large scale, that is number one. Number two, Guwahati High Court has said, due to
Has
large
the
scale,
situation improved or not?
not
now?
at all, not at all. The border is porous. If the settled government sealed the Indo-Pak
you
border
see the
within
border
3 years, why
in-
not in the case of
let me
Assam
come here,
Indo-Bangla border
Mr. Datta,
in the last
only
35
60
years?
Mr. Datta, let me turn to
It's
you
a
now.
crime, it's an inexcusable crime on the part of the government of India. Guwahati High Court has said, due to influx of illegal foreigner, the illegal Bangladesh is becoming the kingmaker in the soil of Assam. They are the kingmaker now. And I will cite one more example. One Mr. Kamaluddin. He came from Pakistan to Bangladesh with Pakistani passport. He had entered into Assam through this porous border. He had contested election.
Bengal High Court has given a verdict rejecting the blame of this illegal migrant to 40 people. And they said they have the genuine documents, they can not be termed as an illegal migrant. You see, thousands of cases are pending in the Guwahati High Court pending this allegation. The government cannot prove. They have the valid papers, they have the valid documents, and their ancestors were living over there for so many years, for centuries. Just because they speak Bengalis,
No, that is not.
they
it's not
become
true.
the illegal migrants. Elsewhere in the country, if West Bengal people migrate to some other place and just because they are Muslims, they become the Bangladeshis, how come?
Okay, I think we've all
Tarun Gogoi
established.
Sahab says there is no illegal immigrant.
Ah.
The Chief Minister of the state is declaring there is no illegal immigrants. And the Parliament House, Pranab Mukherjee has himself has declared that 6 lakh people were examined and only 22,000 were found illegal migrants and they have been deported. And then the border fencing, who will do the border fencing? Only 60-kilometer border with Assam is porous. And from there this cattle smuggling and the gun smuggling, from where the Bodos are getting the AK-47 rifles. Who will stop them? This is a threat to the integrity of the country. This is what the major concern of India, that we admit it many times in context with Assam. But then this is not only the illegal migration issue. There are so many other issues. In fact, the illegal migration has been checked after the 84.
Okay. But 2004, on 2004, the government of India had said in the floor of the parliament that 57 lakhs illegal Bangladeshis had entered into West Bengal and 50 lakhs illegal Bangladeshis had entered into Assam. It's a statement by the government of India in the floor of the assembly, floor of the parliament. It's a fact. It's a government fact.
Mr. Datta, let me just turn to a case study. Mr. Datta, you are one of the people
It was before the Rajiv Gandhi Accord.
No, on 2004,
before that, 1 crore
July,
people has migrated over here.
2004, 14 July, the then State Home Minister had stated in the floor of the Parliament that 50 lakhs illegal Bangladeshis had entered into Assam, 57 to your state, West Bengal. It is a statement by the government in the floor of the Parliament.
In what date?
It's not. It's
in what date?
2004, 14 July.
Since
2004, 14 July, it's up to the 31st of December 2001.
It has been reported on 2004, but the process was going on since 1947.
But Bangladeshis illegal foreigners are there. You cannot deny it, and it's a threat to the national security. We should accept it.
There can be. I am not denying. There may be few people, but
not few people. Large scale of illegal Bangladeshis are there. It's stated by the Supreme Court.
Wait.
Assam.
Okay. The extent
or the
of the
Guwahati High Court. Okay. Only the court can examine them, na.
Okay, the extent of the problem, right? Before I come to the extent of the problem, I just want to turn to Mr. Ranjit Kumar Datta, who's also with us. Mr. Datta, your own personal case study, because you did come across, in fact, you could share your story.
The Bangladeshi Hindu people, they are always in threat. From 1946, there was no democracy practice in East Pakistan or Pakistan. So, the Hindu people, they face the different problems and they are to migrate from up to 71. Before 65, there was a legal migration process, but after 65, the legal process was stopped. So many people, the Hindu people, they across the border and they settle in West Bengal mostly, because then they are not for getting better job, they are not here. They are for due to threat, due to their family problem. Many people, they are always are threatened, and their wealth are.
Hasn't the situation improved a lot in recent years? From some of the stories that we hear, that now the situation is better, or is it still as bad?
Yeah, it is not better in the rural areas. It is better for Dhaka, Khulna, Chittagong, or like the corporate cities, and the situation little better. But in the villages, still there are some problems. The Hindu people, they face the problem. Very recently, a problem happened in Khulna. It is the Digholia Upojila of Khulna district. So 5 villages, they have taken decision, then they will fly over to India because they face serious problem.
Okay.
So always for their land grabbing, they are facing problems. So when they come here, it may be in the eye of the Indira Mujib Accord, they are illegal migrants here, but they have no way. They are to live.
Okay.
They have to come here. But many Muslim people, there are many Muslim peoples in the border areas and the border areas of West Bengal. They are settled here. Sometimes they come here for getting some job, but when they get jobs, they bring their families and they settle here, and the democratic situation in the border areas has changed.
Okay,
and it was talked by the
no, so are you saying
Hello?
saying in some way, Mr. Datta, that it's different if a Hindu is coming across and a Muslim is coming across? Is that what you're saying?
the Muslim, then they are coming here for getting job.
But they could also be facing persecution in some way or the
they are
other.
settled. Many Muslim people, they are coming and they are settled.
All right.
They are settled here. But the Hindus
that may be
people, they are
Taslima.
coming here
Taslima can come.
to
She's
get
welcome.
shelter because they have.
Okay, but okay.
Yes,
Let's
the
just-
Taslima can come.
Now, okay, so let's come to this aspect of the issue, Dr. Sami, which we were debating a little while earlier. I get that you can say that people facing persecution, right, irrespective of religion, people facing persecution, India will give them shelter, and that has been India's history
Tradition.
for all time.
Tradition.
Jews were given shelter here once upon a
Parsis.
time. Parsis came across here; they were given shelter out here.
Arabs
Persecuted Hindus, whether it is in Bangladesh, anywhere else, should be given shelter out here.
Yeah.
Although, as I said, the situation in Bangladesh is probably much better than it once
Even
was.
the
but,
Afghan
No,
and
I don't
Palestinian
agree.
has been given.
you know, in 1971, there was genocide taking place. So,
Just
you know,
take their census, 32% down to 7%.
Yeah, but-
Every census is going down.
But I'm saying a lot of that.
And after this
1970
recent election, the Jamaat-e-Islami only targeted Hindu people.
yeah, but in 71 in particular, there was genocide. So obviously the situation is not bad. as
That
it
was
at that time.
Pakistani genocide.
Army, yes.
It's
But
not
okay. So I'm just trying to
Bangladesh
understand.
Muslim.
I'm just trying to understand the philosophy and the policy,
Yes.
because a lot of people question the fact that in the manifesto, when it said Hindus facing persecution anywhere
Yes.
in the world
Yes.
are welcome in India.
Yes.
If that had said people facing anybody facing persecution, Indian nationals or people of Indian origin facing persecution, then it becomes a little more widespread and it becomes somewhat fairer, because you could theoretically have a situation where people of Indian origins, who could be Christian, who could be Muslims, who could be any other religion, could also be facing persecution.
That's
Should they
it.
be denied shelter?
No, there's a theoretical question. We are dealing with a practical question. No, Hindus in Pakistan, Hindus in Bangladesh, they are facing persecution, and they are entitled to come, because that's the only place which is nearby. There was once upon a time where persecution was faced in Uganda, and we received them here. So that's a different matter. That time both Muslims and Hindus came across from Uganda.
So I'm just trying to question it. So it's
Yeah.
not, I'm asking you whether it is persecution
Yeah.
based or
So
religion
what are the
specific.
sources of these
it is
information?
persecution
Tomorrow,
based,
hypothetically,
it is
but
based,
some countries-
it
in all
is
the Bangladesh and
persecution
Pakistan,
based,
Hindus
but
are
in
being
the
persecuted.
present context, when you're fighting an election, the only serious problem we are facing on immigration is from Pakistan and
Yeah,
Bangladesh.
but in the past, Dr. Sami, you've had a situation in countries like Fiji, in Uganda, which you mentioned, other
Yeah.
places, where Indians have faced a threat.
Yes, we have-
Indians have faced a problem.
Yes, yes.
So should we not have a policy that if Indians anywhere in the world are facing persecution, then we should open our doors to them?
Listen,
That's a logical extension of what you're saying.
Apple pie and motherhood. You see, those things are goody things to say. Of course, but today we face a direct issue. The Bangladesh infiltration has totally destabilized Assam. It has changed the politics of Assam.
Fine.
So therefore, we have to focus now.
How
We are going to
come it has changed?
remove
Just
and
because-
throw out
just because the number
illegal
of Muslims
migrants.
there is 34%?
Then the question
Just
is, are
because
you
the
going to throw
Muslim
out the
population
Hindu
is larger
illegal
there?
migrants? No, we will not throw out the Hindu illegal migrants.
So you will make a difference on the basis of religion.
As far as Bangladeshis are concerned, because we gave Pakistan,
You
which
see,
was later
Vikram.
became Pakistan inAngladesh, on the principle that all Muslims who didn't want to live in India can live in these places. So now they cannot come back
very much
after having
expected
gained
with Mr.
territory.
Subramanian, with the
That's-
mindset of the
that's a bit of a
Subramanian.
restatement
Swami, but I am
to
telling you, the
discussion.
Assam
No, I am not
was
saying
always
restating. I
the
said those
largest
Muslims who
state where the
didn't want to live
number of Muslims
with
is
the
large.
those-
But the people who are
In large
migrating
size.
right now will not party
In a
necessarily to
bigger size in
partition.
Assam,
There's no question of
always.
party, there's a responsibility of the government.
No,
They are
but
they are a
Mr. Swami has a
continuation.
problem out here. Mr. Swami, in 2003, when Mr. Advani was the Home Minister, he said the same thing, that all Bangladeshi Muslims should be deported. 265 in all people were collected, rounded up, taken to the border. They could not be deported. How do you deport? Deportation on the ground is a different thing. You don't push them.
That's a
There are two
second
things.
issue.
There's a push, and you have to convince the Bangladesh government, the BDR, to take them. The BDR says, sorry, these people don't belong to us. We will not take
That's
them.
a second issue.
But that's a
I'm
ground.
going to come to the practicalities of all of this, but But Dr. Rahmani, you were saying something in response to what Dr. Swami said.
So I was telling that Dr. Subramanian Swami has a particular mindset, and his party BJP, before coming to power, they have a particular mindset to appease the Hindu majority of the country. You see, in Assam there is a problem of illegal migrant because they are the larger population in Assam is Muslim. They are 34%. That's why they say that the demography has been changed. In rest of the country, Mr. Lal Krishna Advani has said once upon a time that all the terrorists living in the country are Muslims. So at one place you will call them that they are illegal migrant, at the other portion of the country you will call them they are the terrorists. So they want to divide the country on religious lines, and that's why they are creating issues out of issues of such kind of communal hatred. There is no illegal migrants available over there now, and they cannot prove in the court of law. They can prove it here in the studio, but not in the court of law.
Okay. It's undeniable that the percentage of Muslims in Indian population is growing. Whether it's growing rapidly, small, I'm not going to that.
So what?
Listen, calm down. On the other hand, according to Bangladesh census, the percentage of Hindus is coming down rapidly. What's the explanation?
Then you talk about India, Mr. Swami. Why
now
you are talking about Bangladesh?
He said, why not first? Why is the Hindu population from 32% come down to 7%?
You talk about the Hindu population of India. Why you are talking about them?
Okay. Here
You are more concerned about Bangladesh. You are not concerned about India. Okay. The population of Hindus is also increasing in India.
I must
as
clarify
well.
one thing. Okay. There is a perception that Assam people of Assam are communal. No. So after demolishing of the Babri Masjid, there was not a single class of communal class in between Assamese Hindus and Assamese Muslims. No. This is the unique social fabric of the Assamese society. No, that is number one.
That's fine, but some of the worst massacres in Indian history. And by the way, we talk so much about riots. We keep on going back to 92, we go back to 1984. One of the worst massacres that's ever taken place in the country was Delhi in 1983. And you have a situation where all these years later,
it was done by these
it was due to the misrule of the Indira Gandhi Congress rule because of them, because they had imposed elections.
I'm saying you have a situation where even today, whatever did it, I'm saying 33, 34 years, 31 years later, how many years been? 31 years later, not a single person has been punished.
Illegal election was imposed on the people of Assam. There was not a single voting difference.
We are
not supporting of any communal
election is imposed, so 3,000 people should be murdered.
No, not at all. We are not supporting any communal classes, but you must appreciate that we have accepted the burden of all illegal foreigners who have entered up to 71, Hindus or Muslim.
But
that everybody should appreciate. But who have entered after 71?
Then how can you call
he may be Hindu, he may be Muslim. We cannot take lower. Assam and Northeast cannot be the grazing ground.
The people who were massacred in 1983, when did they come? The people who were massacred in 1983 in Delhi, when did they come?
That is only depend on the process.
But the other problem
the process
but I'm just saying it's rather sad that all these years later no one's been punished for it.
One more point I like to highlight. There cannot be two sets of acts and law to detect an illegal foreigner. Nobody is highlighting that. In Assam, there is a provision of tribunal. In West Bengal, if a foreigner is detected by the police, he can deport. But in Assam, he will have to go to the tribunal. And he can go to the High Court as an appellate tribunal. So how there can be two sets of law and acts in the same country?
Let me turn to you, Amarjeet. You've been silent for a while.
Can I,
Mr. Dr. Rahmani, let me just give Amarjeet the floor.
Determining illegal migrant, they don't even take the signature of the accused.
But it is not applicable in your state.
Okay, Amarjeet.
There is no tribunal in West Bengal.
It's like this.
Okay, Amarjeet.
In this situation, you see, we have to look at the historical, the past. Here the problem is that migration that we now see across the world is that migration is not something which we cannot just simply switch off and switch on. So migration will go on. It's bound to increase because the reason being that now we are living in the age of migration. But in the case of this situation is that these areas, say Bangladesh and Assam, these places are at one point of time they are historically part of the region historically known as Bengal. So therefore, in this case, what I believe is that the Indian discourse on this issue, the issue of migration, we have to change. Okay. The reason being because it will go on, and the question of deportations, You know, I don't know. I have been listening to the deportation of the so-called illegal migrants from Assam. It will be very, very difficult, I believe.
Can I just ask one question though, and this is a philosophical question as much as anything else. The entire question of migration, right, and whether somebody should come or somebody should not come, obviously it shouldn't be illegal, but at the end of the day, there is an Indian diaspora. So many people, Indians in every country of the world, sending $50 billion, $60 billion back to India. By the way, there are lots of Indians in Bangladesh also who also send back a reasonable amount of
But they are
money.
legally there.
Legally, so I'm saying legal illegality, but I'm saying the entire, the emotional response that these people who are here have come in some way unfairly and they're taking away Indian jobs. If that same argument was to be made in the USA or in Europe or any of the other places where there are so many Indians, then we don't like that.
Well,
when it
I'm
was
not
said,
making that
when
argument.
Idi Amin made that argument in Uganda, we didn't like it.
I am not making that argument. Let the most qualified Indian go illegally to the United States. He will be picked up and put on the next plane and sent back home.
So then we need
I am only talking about the legality question.
But we don't give legal migrant status very easily.
No, there is no such thing illegal. You come through the airport with your passport and say, and having got a visa from the country from which you came, no problem.
But how do you work? How do you get a job here then?
That you go and look for a job. If you most of the Bangladeshis are getting jobs because they are offering to work for half the wages that the Indians are ready to work for.
So you'd be okay with giving work visas to people,
provided they come
we
legally.
can't be telling the Americans you need to give Indians more work visas and saying we won't give Bangladeshis.
No,
don't
the Delhi
twist around,
population
twist it around.
is either
I am,
Bengali
yes, because
or
I am,
the Bihari. Half of the
asking to
Delhi
be silent.
population is
Dr.
either
Rahmani,
Bengali or the Bihari. All they are coming from the Bangladesh.
Dr. Rahmani, let Dr. Swami finish. I'll come to you.
In the United
Lots of
States to
doctors in
go,
this house.
there is a procedure which you have to go through. And it's a very, very tough procedure. No problem. The same way we should have a procedure. We do.
We agree with that. Okay, fine.
Of course.
Good.
We have already got laws for it. That's what he's saying. He's saying that there is the Supreme Court has laid down certain laws. Follow them.
The illegal Bangladeshi, they became the kingmaker in a sense. That's the very important point. The political parties, they are protecting them for their vote banks.
Okay.
How we can accept?
You know, in this entire conversation and the debate that's going on, we still don't know how many alleged illegal migrants are there.
But
in
it
this
is
country.
there in the floor of the parliament.
No, but you know what, Samujjal or the politicians or the academics for 33, 40 years
We don't know
have
how
not
much,
done any. There's no
we
methodology.
don't know how much
on
murders,
research.
how many murders take place in
citizen.
India, but still we have an IPC. We don't scrap the IPC because we don't know how many murders take place in
we
India.
have a Foreigners Act.
And one more point, along with illegal Bangladeshis, the Houthis, the Al-Qaeda, the Jihadis, the ISI, they are entering
But
into
we still don't have
Can we
a
just
number.
move it from Hujun?
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that yes, you come out and do your duty, do the constitutional duty.
Okay.
Why don't you are performing just to keep a sensitive issue lingering on?
All
just
right.
to put a sword on the innocent people?
Okay.
They can't
Dr.
live in
Rahmani.
peace for years, whole of their life even.
Shouldn't have
Just
had
because of
partition.
the failure of the governments.
Okay, Dr. Rahmani, we heard you. Now let's get some other viewpoints here.
I think that any illegal migration from Bangladesh to India or India to Bangladesh should be banned, but the question is who defines the legality, because legality is something that the politicians in parliament they can make rules, regulation, law, to define the legality. So is the question, if the question is that from many people are migrating from Bangladesh to India, so India and Bangladesh government both should sit in the table and talk that yes, what's the problem?
And perhaps the first step, which is something which your government may want to push through now, is that entire question of enclaves. If that could get sorted out once and for all, the land exchange, maybe the process of fencing and all that will also become somewhat easier. Okay, who else has a view? You also student here from Bangladesh? Okay, how is this matter being seen in Bangladesh?
We have a historical bondage, and even in 1947, 1971 India, we are so much grateful to the Indian government all the time. We are in India for studying purpose. So, India is playing a big, better role in South Asia. So, I think they have some responsibility on the humanitarian ground, and also even on the factual ground at the same time. And question of illegal immigrant, this is not a new issue because of family bondage for different regions. It's happening, it's going on. Even in Bangladesh, in 2012 report, there are 5 lakh illegal immigrants from India, from Bangladesh. So it's going on. So it's the 21st century. So I think everything should be solved by the bilateral treaties. So we have lots of treaties.
Bilateral treaties and not through anything more radical than that. Okay, let me get one more view from Bangladeshi students here, and then I'll take a break and come to the others. Yeah.
I have a point to make regarding the number that has been stated here, because like from the number has gone down from 32 to 7. Like how the number has been made, because my maternal grandparents, they are also from India. They have been moved to Bangladesh before the war. So how the number has been made? So it has to be, I mean,
yeah, the numbers are not very clear,
I mean,
and that's one of the.
We just simply cannot state on, or cannot simply argue on the number that has been, I mean, given right in front of us. We just simply cannot do that.
Okay, so the census, of course, numbers need to be. All right, I'm going to take a break, come back to the rest of the audience, and then come back to the panel to perhaps ask you one simple question. At the end of the day, practically going forward, are there any solutions? Because even if you are saying, okay, you identify somebody who's a illegal migrant and you want to deport the person, it's not that easy to do. Secondly, are there any practical solutions like finishing the land exchange process, getting that agreement finally nailed down, and then as a result of that, moving forward? So what are the solutions going forward? I'm going to ask all of the people on the panel that question, but a break first, and then I'll come back to the audience as well.